Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? Welcome, Paris, Chuck, Play, Ty, Horror Boy. Who else am I missing? And Dark Super. How you guys doing tonight? Hostile Graveyard, welcome. Ready to get this thing up and running. Figured I'd change the background a bit. Hanging out at Cape Crystal Lake while watching Freddy. Kind of like this background a little bit better than the moon background. Plays a little bit nicer. How's everybody's night doing? How you guys doing? No, it's been a while since Wednesday, I believe, isn't it? Wednesday? Wait, no, Wednesday. Tuesday. Getting my days mixed up. Burnt Freddy penis. Those comments touch me here, Paris. Always. So is Jason there? He's always here. Especially on the shirt. What ideas you trying to cook up, Paris? Let me bring my mic closer. Make sure I turn off the sound to the actual movie once we get started. Comments won't be the only thing touching you. Promises, promises. See, Brad Pitt, I can believe, kind of would have auditioned for this movie, considering that I believe his first role was in Freddy's Nightmares. I didn't know about John Stamos. Hey, Devin, how you doing? I haven't seen Lighthouse yet, horror boy. Ooh, Terminator exposed endoskeleton prosthetics for a T2 cosplay. Ooh, interesting. Like, what are you trying to expose? Like parts of the face or like the chest or any like what part are you trying to expose? Will I be doing a commentary on Child's Play? Uh, very likely. Like, there's probably not going to be many horror movies I don't touch on at some point in time. It's just a matter of time before I get to them. So I want something that's long term, not gonna rot, but something that'll sit flat on my face and look real. I mean, there are ways. I think if you look more of the taking the metal piece, like if you're doing the eye, like almost being able to do the metal eye and putting it on your face, and then building fake flesh around it in order to create that illusion. I'm not sure if you can find a good version of it that'll sit flush with your eye, But it'd essentially be like doing a Kano kind of makeup from Mortal Kombat. The only difference is you're trying to make the uh, robotic eyepiece look embedded in the skin. Why Freddy didn't wear his glove in part 7? I mean, he had a glove in part 7. It was the five-bladed glove. That's what the bones and everything were on there for. That was part of a glove. You don't have the second one, Devin? You got to add that to your collection. You got to complete it. Fun fact, an actual Voorhees, New Jersey exists. I find it ironic this little tidbit goes largely unnoticed by critics despite the Friday the 13th series allegedly happening in Josie. Oh, Joyzy. Oh, sorry. I completely mangled that whole comment. That's interesting, though. Voorhees, New Jersey. I'm surprised they didn't use that in any of the films. So, what makes me a pro in horror movies? I watch them and have been watching them since I was 6. And I have a fairly deep knowledge of at least my favorite horror movies canon. So, kind of say pro-ish. But how you doing, Donald? When is it okay to add characters for your screenplay if you're working on an existing source material? Example, people get mad to Hobbit movies, but yet James Bond movies. I mean, if you're adding characters to any kind of source material, I think it's always fine because, I mean, essentially until it gets green lit into a movie, it's considered pretty much fan fiction. So, I mean, with that, you try to be as creative as you can with it. The best way to fix broken plastic, chances are super glue. If super glue doesn't work, then I think you may need a new thingy. Sean Connery as Tommy Jarvis, that would have been very interesting. Although I'm not sure how we would go from Corey Feldman to a Scottish Tommy Jarvis. Because I don't think I've ever seen Sean Connery in a movie where he didn't use his accent. He did possess someone else, Anthony, and Freddy versus Jason. He possesses the Jason Mewes character. And if you go to the deleted scenes, he possesses, what's his name, Jason Ritter's character. Chucky versus Annabelle. Well, I think we've established already with Chucky's new ability to be able to possess anything, there could be a possibility that he could possess demonic spirits too. Take possession of their spirits or whatever they might be possessing. Because he could possess the Annabelle doll. That's without a doubt. So if he possesses the Annabelle doll, is the demons or whatever that's supposed to be tethered to the doll, are they still going to be tethered to it? And with Chucky possessing the doll, would that mean that pretty much the demons, even though Chucky isn't possessing them, but they're tethered to the doll, do they have to still bend to his will? There's like a lot of variables with that particular matchup. I mean, if you super glue it, like not around the crack, but on the inside, and I guess you can probably, if there's any runoff from the super glue, you could try to sand it down smooth and then repaint it. That's probably the only thing I could even remotely say you could do, Devin. But even then, that's no guarantee that it's going to fix it. Chucky got tear bias. I think he could possess Michael Myers. Yeah, well, absolutely. Given what we've seen in Cult of Chucky, there is no reason to believe that Chucky can't possess any physical being. At least from what we're told. Now, we don't know the extent of his powers. If Chucky constantly splitting his soul into every single, I guess you could say, vessel, if that weakens him overall. But nothing has ever, we haven't gotten a sequel to really build on this new ability. Like, we don't exactly know the limits of it. We just know that pretty much he can take control of multiple dolls at once, all with their own, essentially their own consciousness. And he can still take over human bodies while taking over the dolls. So it's essentially he's making clones of himself in different vessels. Now, I'm not sure if that means that each vessel becomes easier to kill because of how many times he's splitting himself off. That has yet to be really understood, but I imagine once the TV show, if it ever gets rolling, because it's been a while now, so I'm getting a little worried about it. I'm hoping they don't pull an MTV Scream with it. It's a possibility, but hopefully whenever they do the show, they do explain more about Chucky's new abilities with that. Yeah, I remember hearing that, horror boy. It's literally the shower scene is where they had a different guy in Freddy's costume, which is why his posture is so different. And if you freeze frame it, the silhouette is completely off. Like it's not Robert Englund's body shape. Like posture aside, it doesn't look like Robert Englund. Like just from the silhouette. And then the way he moved wasn't like how Robert did. Like once they saw that, it was pretty much like get him back. We need him back. Which was stupid for them to think, anyways. Which wasn't that Bob Shea? Wasn't that his decision at first to go without Robert? Can't remember if that was the case. All right. Well, it looks like we gave a bit of time for everybody to come on. Hope you guys got your movie ready. We are getting ready to begin here in about, I'd say, a couple seconds here. I'll get the countdown here shortly. For those joining that hasn't done this before, make sure you got your movie popped in. I'm going to give a countdown. When I get to 0, I say play, you hit play, and we watch the movie together. And hopefully when I see something, you see it too. And maybe if I comment on it, it makes sense. If you don't have the movie, stick around. We'll just talk shit anyways. And as always, make sure you guys are hitting that like button to be notified when these videos are going out. I'm hearing a lot of shit that YouTube is cracking down, especially on horror channels. So you definitely want to make sure you're hitting that like button to get notified of these live streams and all future videos. Just like everything. Like anything that you get, like Dark Theories, Dark Origins, whenever I do another one, I swear I'm going to do another one at some point. But make sure you're just liking anything you can just to keep getting those notifications, because I don't know what the criteria is if you're not hitting the like button, that pretty much they just cut off the notification on you entirely. So when in doubt, hit the like button. All right, and with that being said, we're going to begin here. Let me pull up what I am watching the movie on. Dark jokes are dark. You forgot the H in both of those darks there, Paris. Just to stay with the theme. All right, here we go. And we will begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. I definitely appreciate that play. I think definitely Hostel. Like, part 2 is a flat out horror movie. Like, and that's probably why I'm drawn to it almost more than any of the other sequels. Even part 3. Like, part 3 to me was similar to what part 6 was to Friday the 13th. A great horror movie, great movie addition to the franchise, but not in the horror sense of things. Like, it wasn't scary. It was more, I guess what you could say is that MTV crowd kind of movie. There's Robert Englund driving the bus. Isabel, Ghost Abby is currently sleeping for school tomorrow. Yeah, I'm not sure why a lot of people hate this one. And it's not like their issue with Friday the 13th Part 5 where they argue, well, Jason's not even in it. This has some of the best Freddy moments that I've seen in a long time. Long time. Not best Freddy moments that I've seen ever, I guess you could say. That's probably a better wording of that. Oh yeah, Kim Myers, Jesse's girlfriend. Yeah, definitely. Deliciously juicy. I mean, even if that was the case, time, and pretty much with it being the whole gay Nightmare on Elm Street, it's still a great horror movie. Great Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I don't know if it's because of the homoerotic tones that they have in it. That's what skews some people's vision of it. It's ridiculous. Oh, no worries, Isabel. So I wonder what made them made the change for the stripes on the sweater. Because in the first one he doesn't have the stripes on the sleeves, but every movie after that the stripes are there on the sleeves. I wonder what made them change that. Because in a lot of the ways, I do think this is on par with part one as far as actually being scary. In some ways, this could be even scarier because of the whole concept of Freddy haunting Jesse and the things that he does to her, trying to draw him to kill even his own sister. Where in part one, he's just mostly trying to drive Nancy crazy and just taunting all of them. On here, he's more malicious. I definitely recommend it, Devin. Especially if you haven't seen it or seen it in a while. I definitely recommend you get it. Post apocalyptic Ash meet up with the Terminators. That'd be interesting. Like, even Freddy's laugh, it's not as cartoony as it is in the other sequels past this. It sounds evil. Like that I do with my glove even. Like when I have it on and like rubbing it up like seats and everything. So I wonder if he actually had dreams with those other two girls and they ended up dying. That's an epic fucking scream. Do I think the stripeless sleeves are better than the striped sweater? I could go either way. I mean, me personally, because I've seen the complete striped sweater in so many sequels, and we only seen the stripeless sweater in two movies. One of them not even being A Nightmare on Elm Street. Um, I could go either way. Yeah, that scene, Horror Boy, with Grady, I love that. The way Freddy comes out of his body is fucking iconic. What if Freddy grabbed Michael Myers' mask after Halloween ends? I mean, with Freddy being in the dream world, I don't necessarily see how he would be able to grab it. I mean, unless they pull like how they did in Jason Goes to Hell and he just like randomly pops up and grabs it. But I don't think they're going full on supernatural in the Blumhouse Halloween movies. Plus, they don't have the rights for Freddy, so it's very unlikely you're going to see that. Yeah, Mark Patton, he has a documentary. I think it's called like Scream Queen or something like that. That I've been meaning to watch. It's in my watch later list. And I've been meaning to get to it and I have never gotten to it. Definitely an underrated lead. Yeah, personally, I wouldn't mind Jesse becoming the new Freddy. Like he's been tainted by Freddy ever since. I would either go with that, like I was saying with Jesse becoming the new Freddy tie, or I would go with my other idea. But personally, it makes more sense for Jesse to at some point come face to face with Freddy and actually pretty much become the new Springwood slasher. Do I hope Freddy versus Jason or Freddy and Jason could fight again? I wouldn't mind a fight between them, but as long as it makes sense and it's very faithful to both characters and actually done in a horror movie setting and not just thrown together with a couple action pieces. Like you said, it's like a Marvel movie. Like actually make it scary, attempt to make it scary and make it make sense, and I'll be there. But don't water down one character for the other to compete. That was something I hated in Freddy vs. Jason. They watered Jason down so much to a degree that they made him literally like stupid. Really stupid and afraid of water. Like that killed me. Hey, what's going on, Terry? How you doing? That's definitely true, our boy. Like they don't necessarily have great scream queens anymore. Yeah, the tongue scene with Jesse was pretty cool, which I ended up using again in a different way with in Friday. Let's say Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Yeah, I saw you were broadcasting, Terry. I meant to check it out, but hopped on Dead by Daylight for a couple of rounds, did a couple of Rift challenges, and then wanted to jump on stream and watch Nightmare on Elm Street 2 with the chat. Which Freddy do I think is the strongest? I would probably say part 3. Part 3, I think, is the strongest that we really saw him. How would I do Freddy versus Jason? I would want to sit down and actually write that out. I would want to get into the details of how I would want to do that. I have a couple of ideas, but pretty much it's not something I would want to just toss out there incoherently. It's a good 2 or 3 hours. Oh, nice. Not a bad stream. Thoughts on part 4? I liked part 4. I mean, you can definitely tell the quality kind of dipped as far as the tone. Like, if you look at this and part 1, they have a very similar set tone. Part 3 has a tone similar to how Friday the 13th part 6 was to that series. It was a different look and tone to it. Still was a Nightmare on Elm Street, but had that different tone to it. Once you get to part 4, it almost has like a straight to video kind of tone. But it has like really great moments in it. Oh, you say you did a Freddy marathon last year. Shit, man, I missed it. Which slasher would I want Freddy to fight? Candyman. I think with their power sets, that would be a good matchup. See, now imagine yourself in his shoes trying to hold that door shut. With, and then you get into that situation. Like face to face with Freddy. Like his voice even sounds so much more evil. That's like crazy. Oh man, Devin, you gotta get your collection together. Yeah, 3 was good, Terry. I like 3. New Nightmare. I don't watch New Nightmare as much as I probably should, being part of the Wes Craven directed movies for Nightmare on Elm Street. But I mean, I wouldn't call it a guilty pleasure. It's still good for not being in canon. Yeah, like that. Like when he says that horror boy, it was like fucking chilling. Like I love how Robert Englund portrays Freddy on this, which I can only imagine if they did that scene without Robert Englund, what that actually sounded like. Will I be ranking the Nightmare on Elm Street movies when you finish? Yep, I will. I still have to rank the Scream movies and the Halloween movies, but I'll be ranking all of them in upcoming videos. The movie pitch for your nightmare, Terry. What is it? I'm interested. Let me know. Dragon Master has donated $500. Thank you at Dragon Master 0973 for the donation. Really? I'm gonna have to confirm that. I, if that's true, shit. What specifically would I say defines a horror movie? Probably horrific settings. Like being able to put yourself in that character's shoes and be scared of you being in that scenario without that's why like sometimes comedic moments can come off as a natural, but it helps if you can relate to the character as well. If it's too comedic, it's going to take you out of it. Main characters: Freddy versus Ninja Turtles. Yeah, yeah. Dark Theories is always going to be around on the channel play. What specifically would I say defines a horror movie? Tone, atmosphere, story, relatable characters. Gore, honestly, is optional because you don't need a lot of gore, if any at all. And film score is definitely crucial. That's part of like the entire setup. Do I think I if I if I was in his shoes, I would probably have been just as scared as him. I don't know if I would have survived it. I likely doubt it. You gotta get sleep. Oddly enough, we're watching a movie about a sleep killer. Yeah, I got his attention. Oh, definitely, Terry. Definitely. Was hoping to see you when we went down to Comic Con, but there was like so much shit going on that we hardly had any time to go anywhere. Especially with the marathon that they were running downtown. Yeah, I like the blades come out of his fingers too. And like if you look at his hand when the blades come out, the fingers are thick, as if the glove is growing underneath the skin but didn't break through. It's just the blades. You know that's hot as shit when it's melting like fucking vinyl records. It's when you know that whole house has to smell like ass. No, they're not going to be doing Freddy versus Jason Part 2 anytime soon, Jay. Especially with the rights to Jason still being disputed. We're not going to likely see Jason on anything for at least another probably 3, 4 years. Unless some kind of deal can be made. I can't remember play. I believe I heard something about the Craven family did make a deal with New Line. I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain they are or they're negotiating a new deal with New Line. But I'm fairly certain that Freddy's going to be staying with them. Even that alone, putting his hand on the hot boiler, telling Jesse to kill for him. Like the way he speaks in this movie, it's like he's toying with him, but he's not bullshitting. Oh, trust me, horror boy. I'm praying for myself. The tall man versus Freddy Krueger. That'd be a weird matchup Because I mean, the tall man is an alien, and trying to get those two together, that would be an insane story to try to get those two together. But ultimately, if it occurred outside of the dream world, Freddy would stand no chance. But the tall man has been shown, I guess you could say, to invade dreams too. So it's like the whole phantasm thing is fucking weird. It's like one of the most complicated movies to ever explain to someone. Like, what the fuck is going on with those movies? Which eventually we'll be getting to commentaries for those too. If Blumhouse and Wes Craven family work out a deal, what do you think Nightmare on Elm Street will be like? Probably like my original concept with Nancy and Freddy, like going all the way back to part one. Like, even if that bird was going to explode, would it really rattle the cage like that? And why would you open it? Why would you open the cage? That was a weird decision. My favorite movie from the 2000s. I mean, there's a lot of them. I mean, personally, I like Trick or Treat. Most recently, I've been raving about Hell House LLC. Like, I think anybody who hasn't seen Hell House LLC yet definitely needs to watch that. Fucking bird explodes. Cheap seed. The cheap seed makes a bird explode. Which one of the big horror directors do you think would have been good for Friday the 13th? Big horror directors? I mean, are we talking like all time? Or like just people that's now? Did I hear the director Todd Sheets? He directs horror movies. What movies did he direct? Yeah, fuck that. My expression is probably going to be far, far different if a lightning bolt strikes through my window and hits the dishes, and yet nothing is broken or burning. Yeah, I haven't seen Doctor Sleep yet. I have read the book, but I have not seen it yet. Horror movies from the 70s and 80s. Definitely, no, I can definitely respect all that. I even go as far back as the 60s because that's what gave us Night of the Living Dead and Psycho as well. And some of those old castle horror movies, like House on Haunted Hill. Like all of those movies were like good too. Bit different, slower burn. Some of them were more mystery esque than horror, but still really good. Like low budget zombie movies, like Asylum, low budget zombie movies, or are we talking $5 in a Dream, low budget horror zombie movies? So according to the timeline, this takes place in 1986. I can't remember because if I remember right, part one, while it did come out, I think in 1984, the year it was set in was not 1984. I could have swore I can't remember where I heard it from, but I remembered hearing something that it was set in like 82 or something like that. So this would be a sign that if Freddy could have possessed Jesse fully on, that a good portion of his dream powers would have come with him to the real world. Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about that play. Trust me, we're going to be doing all the Nightmares on Elm Street movies. You have a good night, Devin. Thank you for stopping by. Hope to see you tomorrow, especially since you say you got part three. So I still think my theory holds with this. That while we think we see Freddy, I think we're seeing Jesse acting under Freddy's orders. Sort of like he's blacking out. And like when he's coming out of that fog, he's realizing what he did. Because then it's like, did he hide the glove? So part one takes place in 1981. Okay, I thought that's what I heard. Yeah, the nurse from part three. I'd have probably got tongue tied for that too. Some of the things that bugs me in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, a lot of the one-liners. The one-liners in brightly lighting Freddy Krueger. That was part of the reason why this in part one worked so well in making Freddy a horror icon. Like the way he was lit in both of those movies, he was still in the shadows. You could see his eyes. You got glimpses of his face. But it wasn't necessarily like you saw him under a giant spotlight. You kind of see in part 3, you get a clear look at him, and every movie after that it just becomes brighter and brighter the more comedic he gets. That'd be a valid question, Ty. Did his penis get burned off? Probably. I don't know. When I hear the term thriller, I think of genre spectacle, kind of a deal. Like more action oriented kind of horror. Something like Silence of the Lambs or Hannibal and stuff like that, where it has horror roots, but it's more action oriented. At least that's what I always pictured it as. That's an interesting little fun fact. So Nancy's mother killed herself in their living room, not the bedroom. That's an interesting bit of information. Because if I remember right, the big thing that happens, at least from Nancy's perspective, in the living room, is the bomb that she sets off that Freddy trips. Now, apply my theory that Nancy actually killed her mother with the booby traps that she set. What if Marge set off the bomb? And that's what ultimately killed her. She might have been too close to it, and there might have been some other shit going on that around that area that Nancy had set up. Maybe some of the glass from exploding from somewhere, whatever she had blown up, could have possibly have really fucked Marge up and killed her. Which contributes to Nancy losing her mind, like she said. Well, like he said. I can't say I'm not a fan of thrillers, Chuck. Like there's movies in all genres that I can be attracted to. Thrillers are one of them. Cliche ones, probably not so much, but ones that they base off books that have a lot of lore for me to dive into, I really like. I think the effects on here are way better. Hands down. Like they have some pretty good effects in part one, but once you get to the whole Grady scene, it's incomparable. I think that's just Ronnie Yu's style play. Like when you look at even Bride of Chucky, it has that same tone and style to it. I think incidentally, just having them two face off, he probably had orders to make it more spectacle than horror. Yeah, Anthony, I don't think there's a lot of fans for the remake. I said penis. This is not suitable for children. I think Paris already beat you to it, Ty. The nurse was hot until she started speaking in tongues. Just wait until we get to that scene tomorrow. I don't expect anybody to hold their tongue on that scene. Is she the little girl from Troll? I swear she looks like her. Hey, what's going on, Toxic Kill? How you doing tonight? Nightmare on Elm Street 2010 is a dead fuck. Very true. And doesn't even have the Crispin Glover dance moves at all. Like, no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Aside from Jackie Earle Haley. I like Jackie Earle Haley. I'm good, Toxic Kill. I'm good. Just watching a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 with the chat. Glad you could join us. If you would have watched the movie with us, if you have the movie, Feel free to pop it in. We're about 48 minutes in. Yeah, the remake story, it like they said in Boots to Reboots, they built a lot up on the Freddy being innocent aspect of their entire story just to squander it away by making him guilty. So, do I stream a lot? I stream typically 3 days a week: Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Mostly, I've been doing movie commentaries. Right now, I am on A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, and I will be doing Part 3 and then Part 4 on Tuesday. You thought Restream Bot was a bot? Yes and no. It is a bot, but what it does for me is it connects all my chats from YouTube, Facebook, Mixer, D Live, and Facebook. I think I said Facebook. I think I said it twice. But you get my point. It combines all of those chats into one area so we can all speak together over all those platforms. Especially because different people watch different things. Some people watch Twitch a lot. Other people watch YouTube a lot. Other people watch Mixer and so forth. So the best way to do it, stream on all of them at once and have the entire community grow that way. Something that the remake did better than the original. I would probably say, if anything, transition into the dream world. They did that better. But that's really about it. So it's not a real. Yes, they are all real people that's speaking. You got to look after Restream Bot, and it should say YouTube and then the username that's commenting. So I'm streaming everywhere? Yes, I am. My primary stream, or my primary outlet, is YouTube. So feel free to check that out too as well. Do I like the music in this way? Yeah. Oddly enough, though, a lot of people that would criticize it, I don't remember hearing the Charles Bernstein theme song in this at all, or any of the original score. Oh, thank you, Toxic. Thank you. Definitely try to go for an eye pleasing aesthetic when I'm watching these, because I know from your guys' perspective you can't really see what I'm watching, so it's not as entertaining to the eye for anybody just coming into the stream. So I try to do what I can to fill that void. But thank you though. I'm glad you like it. Yes, I think the Friday the 13th reboot is better than A Nightmare on Elm Street. Oh, thank you for the follow, Toxic. Glad to if I can speak. It is 12 o'clock here, so me no English too good. But thank you for the follow, my friend. I am glad to have you a part of the stream. Hope to see you in future commentaries as well. Or even gameplay videos. I do play Dead by Daylight. Occasionally, every once in a while, I'll play another game or so. Very rarely, though. Honestly, I have a laptop that I'm streaming from. A gaming laptop, but a laptop. And I essentially use what is it called? Restream to stream on all of them. Which doesn't take much. Where am I from? I am from Baltimore, Maryland. USA, if that narrows it down a little bit. I currently live in Pennsylvania, though. I'm gonna tell you, Fred, go home and take a whole bottle of sleeping pills. Like, holy shit. Oh, you say you live in Texas. Oh, nice. Nice. How was it there? Do I collect the NECA Jason figures? I am currently. I have a Part 3 Jason NECA figure, and I have a Mezco clothed Part 3 figure. Those are the only Jason figures I have, but I do have Leatherface. I have a Laurie Strode from 2018. I have a Michael Myers from 2018. Um, fucking Ash from Ash versus the Evil Dead, but it's when he's working. I forget what the fuck his job was, like what that store was called. But when he's wearing like the red smock and everything. I have a Part 1 Freddy Krueger. And just trying to think. I think that's all I got right now. Oh, Pennywise. And then I have an Ultimate Pinhead coming in either December or January. Which pretty much just saved her life. Wonder why like Freddy waited for Grady to try to go to sleep before attacking. Obviously, Grady wasn't listening to a fucking word he said. Ooh, there's the knives coming out the fingers. I remember thinking, like, dude, that shit's gotta fucking hurt. Fuck that, I'm already going to the door trying to get the fuck out. At that point, I'm fucking breaking out the fucking window. Something that Jason takes Manhattan that the others don't? Not really. I mean, the only real thing that it had that was appealing was Jason in Times Square. That's insane looking. And like Freddy, like hearing Jesse like scream the way he looks. It's like, oh, shut the fuck up. And even Freddy smiling looked fucking creepy. Like the makeup on here was phenomenal. Granted, it doesn't match part one at all, but it did look really good. Like, and Freddy just laughing, just taunting him with laughing. Yeah, Freddy was fucking. And the thing is, like, he was talkative, but he wasn't overtly talkative. Like, that whole time, like, if you would have made that scene where Jesse's looking in the mirror at Freddy, there would have been so many fucking one liners and trying to get the crowd to laugh and all that shit that it would have took all the venom, I guess you could say, out of the scene. Oh, thank you for the follow. Glad to have you part of the stream, Elvin. I love you. I love you too, man. Thank you for following. Glad to have you a part of the family. I love the first five Friday the 13th movies because they have juicy chicks. As good as reason as any. I greatly appreciate that, Elvin. It's always nice to hear. I think ultimately it's likely that Victor Miller will probably make a deal with Paramount or New Line before he does anything with Sean Cunningham. Like Freddy just like diving after her. And he's like still just toying with her. See, even then, Freddy nowadays would have been so talkative and trying to make jokes, calling her a bitch and everything else. Like, to me, like, a lot of it's unnecessary. You didn't need it to make Freddy scary. Yes, she did. Made his whole fucking head turn. It's like Jesse trying to fight out of him. Like, look at the like look at his hand with the knives coming out. It literally looks like it's slimy as fucking shit. Hellraiser is one of my favorite series. Granted, what was it? I think it was Revelation was a very, very, very dark shit stain on that series. But Judgment, for the budget that it had, I thought was really good. Here comes the pool party massacre. I don't know, like Freddy's pretty fucking powerful in this. Like straight up, like shanked them in the fucking gut. Freddy's just looking at him like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Favorite Freddy quote. I mean, that's one of them. Like, help yourself, fucker. No, this is it here. You are all my children now. That's like so haunting. Like Freddy just staring him down as he walks away. Yeah, I have to change my pick. I think Freddy's more powerful in this one than in really any other movie in canon. It's so weird looking. The dogs with the human faces. Not a bad shot. Would have been cool, like when she went inside, she went through the same corridors and everything that Tina did. You have a good night, Play. Hope to see you tomorrow, my friend. You have a happy Veterans Day as well. Uh, Because he's literally fucking with her mind as if she's in the dream world outside of it. So I definitely have to give him a power edge in this one. John Saxon was also in Enter the Dragon. Enough said. That is correct. Definitely not lying there. I've seen him in it. Big Bruce Lee fan. I've seen a ton of Bruce Lee stuff. Looks like the fucking animals are mutating. Whereas the movie, I cannot play it due to copyright issues. So the way we work it is if you have a copy of the movie, you can put it in. We synchronize our movies together and we watch it together. And that's what started it. That's what started weakening Freddy. Come back to me, Lisa. Yeah, I'm trying to keep my streak of pretty cool posters going there, Chuck. Like Bruce Lee ripoff. I mean, do you mean like someone impersonating Bruce Lee or another martial arts star that took his place after he died? But I mean, would that be enough to exorcise the spirit of Freddy out of Jessie? Like her love alone? Or was it because they were also in the place that he died in as a human? Look at the, like melting face. Like back to the dream world. As in Bruce Lie? It's a clever play on words there, hostile. Thing is, though, wouldn't his DNA and all of that shit be all over Grady's room at that crime scene? The fact that Grady, there had to have been a couple of things that linked him to Grady. And considering how Grady died, that would have linked him to Schneider. So he would have been probably charged anyways with their deaths. Or at least prime suspect. At the very least. And let's not forget, the glove is still at his house, I believe. So wouldn't the police search his house and find the glove? And he would have been likely charged with the murders of both those two people? Her juiciness just won't quit. So I tell the bus driver, like, slow this shit down. So what the fuck is wrong with you, kid? No, it's interesting because the big thing with that is nobody knows what happened to Jesse or anybody on that bus. So if Freddy killed them and then we're led to believe in A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 that he can only attack Elm Street kids, how the fuck is he going after Jesse? How is he even able to invade the dreams of Jesse? That's an interesting question there because Jesse, for all intents and purposes, for what we hear in that movie, he's not an Elm Street kid. Like, he just happens to live on Elm Street. But his father, I don't believe, or maybe his mother, I don't think either one partook in the murder of Freddy. So it's kind of weird how they went about that. But that was A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. Love that movie. Definitely love it. Completely underrated, and I don't understand why. Like, there's... To me, it's one of the better sequels. I know Wes Craven didn't like it. Wes Craven didn't like a lot of the sequels, if not all of them, that he didn't personally have a hand in making. But I think that should get a lot of credit, because that's an awesome fucking movie. Whew. But that's going to do it for me for tonight. I do want to thank all you guys for joining me for the stream. Everyone that followed me on Twitch, everyone that's subbing on YouTube, following me on Mixer, with me on Instagram, everything. I want to thank all you guys, even the people on Facebook. Anybody, anywhere that's watching with me and constantly keeping up with me, I want to thank all you guys for doing so. I'm getting ready to head out to bed, and I will see you guys tomorrow for A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Hope you guys have a good night. And as Freddy would say, sweet dreams. I am JG Darhk, and thanks for watching.